when she's finished with her presentation, she can try to answer those questions for her from her perspective. And then following that, we'll have Angie Baber, and she's with one of our local chambers of commerce, and she's got some experience in international business and things like that. So the same will apply for her as well. She'll be able to give a little bit of a presentation and then answer some questions as well. So with that, Cindi, Ken, you might have to start it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being here today and getting on the call with us. I know Alberta is, I think she's in London today. And so I know that she's working over the phone between London and Akyaa to get things done. First off, I'd like to say thank you very much for taking the time today to get on this call with Colby, myself, and our two speakers that we have. We're excited to be able to present to you and knowing all of the interest that we've found in Ghana to look at Nebraska as a place to do business and a place to create and make relationships. We thought that this would be a good first step to allow folks that are interested to kind of get a little flavor of how things kind of work in Nebraska, kind of what Nebraska is all about, and how best to kind of step into this. So, and I don't know, Alberta, are you free now? Are you available? Okay. Do we have the assistant director of ag? Are you here today? And then I wonder if he's
unless Alberta unmutes him, they can't speak. So
well, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do. We've got Colby unmuted. We're gonna need Angie Baber unmuted, and Cindi is unmuted. So let's just move ahead. Colby, I'm gonna turn it over to you.
Okay.
I will let you introduce everyone, and then you can start in with your part of the presentation. Thank you.
All right. Well, all right. Thanks, Ken. So, and Ken, if you can turn your camera on, that'd be good.
Oh, sorry.
We can hear.
If I can, yeah.
We can hear you. We can't see it.
There we go. Sorry.
All right. So a little bit of context here, and I guess Alberta is unable to speak. So, Ken Schilz and I are former legislators here in Nebraska. While we were senators, Ken got introduced to, I guess, a couple of business folks from Ghana, and that's been a great relationship. He started to build as chair of the Agriculture Committee, and that led to a trip that Ken and I took to Ghana a little over a year ago, almost 2 years ago, where we were introduced and started to cultivate relationships with Ghanaian businesses, ag producers. And we took a sitting senator. We took Senator McKinney with us at the time. And the idea was form relationships, work with whoever we could meet to help with a partnerships, right? And so Ken's been kind of cultivating those over his time. Ken, before we turn over to speakers, do you want to talk a little bit about the Ghana ag business?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me talk just a little bit about our host today. And I know that Alberta is trying to get connected here. She's working there, but our host is the Ghana Nebraska Agribusiness and Trade Relations Chamber of Commerce, which was instituted in Ghana about almost 1 year ago. And it's just been an amazing thing to watch happen. Last time I checked, which was a little while ago, they had already had over 150 members that were all paying members that are interested in creating and helping foster the relationship between Nebraska and Ghana and Africa on a broader scale. And so with that, they've done together. They have a board of directors. They have a number of different committees that are all working towards helping to improve agriculture and the agricultural way of life in Ghana. And they look and see Nebraska as a great partner an ally because of our situation with our irrigation having both surface water and groundwater, our differences in crops, the same kind of geographic area and all that. So the Ghana Nebraska Agribusiness Chamber of Commerce is extremely excited to be able to bring this to you. And so with that, I will turn this back over to Colby. And like you said, just thank you so much.
Yeah. So I think on the call here, excited to hear our two speakers today are members of that association. So they are across the ocean, most of them in Ghana, and they've all been very excited to kind of hear from our speakers today. So we've lined up two speakers today, and I'm going to have Cindi go first, and I'll let her give a more detailed introduction of herself. But Cindi Allen has joined us today, and I'm very pleased. She works in the Nebraska Secretary of State's office. Part of her role, I think, is to do what we're doing here, which is enhance relationships and work with foreign dignitaries on those kinds of things. And so I'm going to let her explain a little bit of her background, experience, what the state has done, what we can do, and her role within the Secretary of State's office. Everybody, we have such a large crowd that I think, if we don't mute everybody, we get a lot of background noise. But for those of you that have questions for Cindi, what I would ask you to do is stick those in the chat, and she can see those. And when she's finished with her presentation, she can try to answer those questions for her from her perspective. And then following that, we'll have Angie Baber, and she's with one of our local chambers of commerce, and she's got some experience in international business and things like that. So the same will apply for her as well. She'll be able to give a little bit of a presentation and then answer some questions as well. So with that, Cindi, go ahead. Ken.
Just before we take off, Cindi, I apologize. Could the admins also work on taking unmuting Alberta on her phone? I think it's under. Excuse me a second. Let me see. PC.
Yeah, that's what it says in the. Open your chat. Ken.
Yep, I saw that. Yeah, if it's under PC, could you please do that? And I'll turn that over. Cindi or Colby, it's all yours. Sorry.
Yep. Go ahead, Cindi.
Well, thank you. Hi, Ken. It's good to see you. We're from the same town in Western Nebraska, and known each other for a long time. And I don't get to see you, and now here you are. And Colby, thank you for inviting me. I feel really honored to be part of this webinar, especially for Africa. I've spent a lot of time in Africa, arranged trade missions to Africa. So I'd like to welcome everyone here from Ghana. I really am excited about the number of attendees in this webinar. I know that we are a time difference, so it's not too bad. It's worse in other parts of the world where you're in the middle of the night, so at least you can join us during the day in Ghana. My office of Secretary of State, I'm the Deputy Secretary of State for International Trade, and actually the Secretary of State in Nebraska is the Chief Protocol Officer for Commerce, Trade, Education, and Culture by law for the state of Nebraska. So he's very similar to the United States Secretary of State, who is tasked with representing Nebraska across the globe. And as a result, I was brought into the Secretary's office. I was appointed, and I have quite a bit of trade experience in coming into this office. So it's an exciting place for me to be. If you will allow me, please allow me to brag a little bit about Nebraska. Both Ken and I are in agriculture. He was in the beef industry. And Nebraska is the third largest agriculture production state in the United States. California and Iowa are 1 and 2, and we are number 3. But we also have the 3 largest irrigation companies in the United States headquartered in Nebraska. So Nebraska is sitting on top of a freshwater aquifer. So agriculture, irrigation is our lifeline to our crop production, as well as our ranches, our farms and our ranches. We're the largest beef producers In the United States, some people might hear the word Texas, but we have more cattle than Texas. In fact, we have more cattle than people in Nebraska as well. We also export a lot of corn and soybeans, wheat, pulses, dry edible beans. We're #1 in growing dry edible beans, Great Northern beans. It's a white bean. It's a little bit different than the cowpea, but we're the #1 growers in Western Nebraska for dry beans. So that's a little bit about us. I just want to kind of go through what I've already done. I've been into Africa, I think maybe 6 or 7 times now in different countries. Kenya probably most recently. And we've done a lot of work in Kenya in agriculture, and also working with farmers in Kenya and universities in Kenya. So let me kind of step back and tell you what we have our
Hello?
okay. I think I'm back.
You got muted right at, you were talking about what you've done in Kenya, which I think
Okay.
the members would appreciate hearing how that could be replicated maybe for Ghana.
In Kenya, we've gone into Kenya 3 times now, and with trade delegations that I've arranged. And the participants in the trade delegations have been farmers from Nebraska, corn growers, as well as our university, the Institute for Agriculture and Natural Resources. And we've also brought along the director of Doherty Water for Food. And we've brought along other small companies, cybersecurity, who was interested in developing a digital address system in Kenya, and also healthcare. We have partnered with a university in Kenya, and we're setting up an agriculture division for education with that university in Kenya. We've got 2 farmers that are on the board right now. It's called Pioneer International University. Our university has signed MOUs to bring professors to Kenya to train Kenyans in the area of agriculture and crop growing, livestock, husbandry, and also water usage. So we've done that. We've also brought in healthcare. A fellow who is an entrepreneur developed a healthcare system for at-home care and also insurance in the healthcare industry, because Kenyans don't have health insurance. Most of them don't have health insurance. So if there's a medical emergency or someone needs hospitalization or even a doctor, of course they have to pay for that totally based upon what the family is able to afford. So we brought a fellow in for healthcare. I've been working with the University Medical College here in Nebraska. They're world renowned. They really got their reputation across the globe for their work in when Ebola was breaking out in West Africa with their confinement facility. And so they're working as well with universities in Kenya, setting up nursing programs, medical doctor programs to encourage student exchange between the 2 colleges. And so we're very much into the healthcare industry. I've worked with another fellow who's the global partner for Hope. He's setting up clinics in Togo, and he's also in Kenya, but he's currently in Togo setting up rural clinics. And he's going into Ghana as well, into the rural areas of Ghana, setting up clinics, medical clinics, staffed with doctors and nurses, operating on solar energy and Starlink, for internet accessibility. And he, I believe, is is beginning this project now in Ghana. He's in Togo, he's in Kenya as well, because access to healthcare in the rural areas is almost non-existent. So he's been very successful in setting up, surgical clinics, doctor's visits, the complete healthcare availability to the rural people in rural areas of Kenya and Ghana and Togo presently. I've worked with, there is a Midlands African Chamber here in Nebraska. And I've been working with them, and they're interested in bringing products from Ghana and Togo. So you might consider, talking to me later, and I can put you in touch with them. There's a huge diaspora of people from Togo. There's a large diaspora of people from Kenya in the state of Nebraska. So this is very good in creating a cultural understanding between Nebraska and the African countries. So when we partner with Ghana, we're really interested in bringing all of this, all these different industries into Ghana, into the rural areas. So you can upscale your agriculture practices, as well as have accessibility to healthcare, how to manage the water that you have for the purpose of drinking, irrigation, and sanitation, to help you grow sustainable crops. In Ghana, I understand that.
You please.
Okay, I understand that there's a challenge with drought, which was also in many other African countries, and water accessibility. So we have a Doherty Water for Food here in Nebraska that has traveled with our delegation to educate ag producers in the area of water usage. This is vital. So Ghana, really your position, it's a very progressive country versus some of the other countries, that surround you, such as Togo and Burkina Faso, if I pronounce the name right. You have access because you have trade agreements into sub-Saharan Africa, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So you're a very good source of exporting into sub-Saharan Africa. So if we could upscale your livestock and your crop production industry, you really have a transportation rail across you can touch many other African countries that are nearby. So I think that this is really good for your economy. I know that you export a lot of cocoa and timber and gold, petroleum, that the United States are consumers of. As far as Nebraska, I think that we need to come together to see what you can import into Nebraska. Right now, we have a administration that is interested in America First, and for us to export into Ghana, it's a 17% tariff, but in addition to that, there's a lot of fees that are added on. So that is something that might be obstacle that you need to go through with the government there, and also for us here. We have a voice in trade matters, especially in agriculture from Nebraska. So we're able to cooperate with each other. I was in Morocco, and I visited a Zupo who had a large group of students from Ghana who were studying husbandry, poultry, animal husbandry in the area of poultry. And so, they came from Ghana, they lived there. They stayed there for 6 weeks before they returned back to Ghana. And I really think that there's some schools like that located in rural Ghana, set up by ACDI Boca for animal husbandry, which is really great. But we had some Kenyans here, and we brought them in to show them our livestock industry and our feed yard industry and the research that we have behind it. We're huge exporters of DDGs, which is dry distillers grain for animal feed, and also we have 4 ethanol plants here in that I believe you grow maize in Ghana, and it is a possibility that that will add to your energy sector if ethanol plants are set up in Ghana as well. I hope I'm not getting ahead of myself a little bit.
No, I think Cindi, I think that's great. What I'm gonna, if Alberta's unmuted, I'll let her introduce herself and kind of chime in here. She's kind of the boots on the ground there. But before we do that, Cindi, can you talk a little bit about how everything you have described, I think, is what this group would like to see happen in Ghana, right? And I see Ken nodding his head here. So can you briefly just touch on the process that the Secretary of State's office went through to kind of do these things that you were just describing? And
Sure. I organize the trade missions out of our office, and they're more diverse than when they're organized through the Department of Agriculture, because I look at it in a more holistic way, to serve the needs of the people that are there. And so I look at who would fit into the delegation as far as what the country needs. When we went to Kenya, I looked at how to ban on GMOs. So I brought experts in biotech from the university with us, sort of to educate a little bit more on the GMOs, the biotech crops. So they were part of the trade delegation. I invited them on. I invited 2 crop producers to Kenya with us to talk to some of the farmers, local farmers in the rural areas on crop production and planting methods, conservation methods, water usage, that type of thing. So when I look at a country, I put together a trade and invite certain delegates to participate in this trade mission. I usually fund it through USDA. The university pays their own way, but the funding through USDA pays for those who are there specifically for agriculture. So it's fully funded through federal grants. We brought a reverse trade mission over here using federal grants. And so the process is I set some dates. We arranged to meet government officials. We've met President Ruto, Ambassador, well, they have a new ambassador now who has not yet been appointed, but we try to meet embassy people, the U.S. embassy people, as well as the Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Health, Minister of Foreign Affairs in the country that we're in, because we find that it is a lot easier getting things through customs at the port when you have the government behind you, because it can be tricky sometimes getting through customs in other countries. So, and then we go, we go to the country and we've lined up our business-to-business meetings, some of our site visits. We hold a lot of meetings and have people come in to meeting rooms at the hotel that we're staying at. And that's pretty much how I organize it. So in Ghana, the emphasis would be on agriculture and agri-tech. Innovation in agriculture is one of our leading industries here in Nebraska, and it really makes a difference as far as crop production and yields. And as I mentioned, all the water conservation practices, plant. So if we are able to go into the country and hold seminars, to upscale
Very good.
land and agriculture. That's what we do.
Thank you, Cindi. In the interest of time, Cindi, there's a really nice chat, something I'd encourage you to look at in the chat here. But in the interest of time, Alberta, if you're unmuted, do you want to chime in with any comments before we move on to Angie?
Okay, thank you so much, Senator Colby, and then thank you, everyone, for coming on. I think that this has so far been an interesting session, and then maybe we would possibly may look at how we could sustain it. It's been the first time the numbers have exceeded, and so we are still trying to work on the challenges behind. But just like indicated earlier, I think the Ghana-Nebraska Agribusiness Chamber started way back in when we all met in Ghana, and we had an interesting conversation, and then we realized that we had the same passion of interest when it comes to agriculture, and subsequently it led to the first delegation traveling to Nebraska in 2023, and then we had a second delegation also in 2024. And I think this session is very timely, very, very timely. We have a lot of people behind. We are receiving messages from the Ghana Exports Promotion Council, the Shippers Authority, all over, because they're all trying to be part of this session, and then they really have so many questions to ask. But for me, this session is very, very timely because the interest in Nebraska is very high. I'm happy the Agri Director is also on board, and he'll be maybe make a few statements. But the interest in Nebraska's agriculture is very high. Everybody is looking at what business we can do with Nebraska in the area of livestock, in the area of crops, machinery, and equipment. The leaders are interested in the aspects of education. Everybody is also interested. So the key is, how do we navigate around? And that is all that, like you've been talking about. How do we navigate? How do we ensure that we are able to make all these trade relations, all this business to business interactions, we are able to be grounded and to understand very much what makes the business environment in Nebraska, and for that matter in America, what makes it tick, and how we can be able to record major milestones. I think for so far it's been progressing. The results are coming out with the partnerships we are having in the education sector, partnerships within the machinery and equipment sector. So it means the potential is very high, and the potential is very good. How do we enhance it? How do we advance it? How do we strengthen it? And how do we ensure that we make the most, the best out of it? So the topic is in itself, how to do business in America with Americans, is very strategic. And we are hoping, I think so far, these are some of all the things. I think if my colleagues will share the screen, these are some of the things that we've done in the past. And all these from the northern sector, we have a lot of interest. This when Senator Schilz was in Ghana, we took a trip to the northern region, visited some of the farms to basically understand what the needs are. And I believe Mr. Asamani will speak much on it as well. So right now on the call, we have participants also from Kenya, we have participants from Rwanda, we have participants from Uganda, Zambia, and all over. How do we enhance it? How do we use Ghana as a case study to also provide solutions or bring the Nebraska solutions to all these countries using Ghana as a case study? So I think for me, it's welcoming, it's interesting. I'm very happy we're able to do this, to lift it up from just a speaking section to an action-oriented session. And then we are looking forward to what we can do better to strengthen the relationship between Ghana and Nebraska. I think we've been looking at the cattle sector as well, with a lot of opportunities also within the dairy sector, and what Nebraska can bring on board when it comes to the livestock and the dairy sector as a whole. This is the Turaku market when we met with some of the leaders of the market in Ashaiman in the Greater Accra region. I think there are more of these that have been done over the years. If the pictures can scroll quickly, then I think there are a number of repetitions. So the interest is very, very strong, and if we're able to really understand very well how we can do business with America, in America with Americans, then I think we are on the road to advancing what we've already started, and most importantly, strengthening the agribusiness infrastructure and relationship between Ghana and Nebraska. I think if maybe I think so on my side, Senator Colby, maybe this is what I would like to say, and then maybe if we could get Mr. Eric on board as well, maybe he can also throw a bit of light on some of the areas that we need to strengthen when it comes to agribusiness and infrastructure in itself. Thank you.
So should we go on to Angie and then come back to Eric, Ken?
Yeah, let's do that. Then we can make sure that he's unmuted and not have to wait.
Okay. All right. So our next speaker is Angie. Is it Baber?
It's Baber. Yep.
Great. All right. Thanks,
Yes.
Angie. So here in Nebraska, we have a state chamber of commerce, which is focused on statewide policy primarily. But within Nebraska, we also have many, many local chambers of commerce, which have maybe a different focus, more geared towards their particular communities and their business needs. But as opposed to the state chamber, who's mainly focused on policy, I think some of our local chambers are more keyed into business development and business recruitment and things like that. So I reached out to our largest community, Omaha, and asked for someone who could talk a little bit about some of the things that we're discussing here. And I'm pleased to introduce Angie Baber from the Omaha Chamber. And I'll let Angie, I'll let you take over from now. And I think you've got a flavor of what the group is interested in hearing about. So would love to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for inviting me here today. I appreciate it. My name is Angie Baber. I am the Senior Director of Economic Development for the Greater Omaha Economic Development Partnership. And I've been with the organization, just to give you a bit of background, I just started back with the Omaha Chamber in the spring of 2024. But had been with the chamber for 12 years early at the beginning of my career. So left for 15 years, hung out and did healthcare development and worked in biotech in that 15 years. And now I'm back at the Omaha Chamber doing economic development. So very excited about that. As far as today and the discussions today, what I prepared, and Ken, Colby, let me know if this is the part or if you want to come back and do this, is a presentation on the Greater Omaha region, with our focus being on business attraction and retention to our area. That is my job and what I am doing. I have a prepared presentation I can share with you on Greater Omaha.
Yeah, I think that's fine, because I think that what that does is it gives everybody a little bit of a flavor of kind of how things flow here. So I think that'd be great.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here for you all. Hopefully. Yes, there we go. And making sure I get you. All right, everybody can see?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to walk through here, and I'm going to kind of brush on some things that Cindi talked about. Thank you, Cindi, for kind of laying some good groundwork for us here, but I will just go ahead and jump into it for us. So we are a central location. We are obviously, Nebraska is in the middle. Omaha puts us almost directly in the middle of the US, which makes it convenient to get anywhere you need to in a very short time. We are a regional economic development group. We cover 8 counties and cover across 2 states. You'll see we have 2 counties in Iowa, which are great partners to us as well. And all these organizations work together for the betterment of our region. Our goal is that we don't see county lines. We don't see all that division you see on that map. We all work. What's good for any of the counties is great for us, and then also great for Nebraska. Just to give you a little background on the numbers here, we are a population of just over 1 million people, very young population with 34% being 24 years of age or younger. Show you a little comparison for the cost of living across Omaha in comparison to other large cities within the U.S. See our comparison to Dallas, Salt Lake, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. We are well below the cost of living of those major cities and 6.9% below the national average. Kind of break that down. What does that mean to how much a medium home price would be here in comparison to the US, as well as we like to say we are a large city, but easily able to get around with a 20-minute commute time. We like to say great things about ourselves, but I also get paid to do it. So these are some rankings from Forbes. Ranked us as the #1 best city to move to in 2024. And we have some new ones coming up here in 2025 that we're going to be happy to share with everybody. We have great air service. So you can see we have 30 direct flights across the US. So not even necessarily that you have to lay over anywhere to get where you need to within the US. We are currently undergoing a $900 million expansion of our airport. This will bring us into today's age with our airport. So we're very excited about this with some centralized security, unified concourse, and a new internationals arrival. We have a lot of great companies in Omaha. Cindi has mentioned a couple, kind of referenced them. I do want to share our 4 Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered in Omaha with Mutual of Omaha, Union Pacific Railroad, Berkshire Hathaway. I'm not sure with Warren Buffett. He's probably our most recognizable person from Omaha by far. And then Peter Kiewit's Sons, which does international construction across the world. We also have some Fortune 1000 companies headquartered here with Valmont. Cindi did reference irrigation and Center Pivot Irrigation, which would be our friends at Valmont here, plus Lindsay, who's not listed, First National Bank, Great Plains, and Werner Trucking. Major business sectors, as you can see in the greater Omaha area, what we love about our community, about our business community, is the diversity within our business sectors. We all know certain things happen sometimes in different industries that cause major shifts and affect communities pretty dramatically, actually. And with our diverse mix, if something's happening within one industry, it isn't fully detrimental to our community as we are well dispersed here. The major sectors that we are doing business attraction in at this time is agribusiness is at the top, and that includes our biotech and bioag as well, military and defense, financial services, manufacturing, and life science. I'll dip into a couple of these quickly. And if we have questions about them, throw them in the chat, but otherwise I'm going to cruise pretty fast through them. Just showing you a few anchor companies in these industries, some very recognizable, PayPal, LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, all ConAgra and their brands here, as well as we promote startups and scaled companies looking to build here as well. Agribusiness. As we talked about this, there's some stats you can see along the right-hand side. We include both Iowa and Nebraska in our stats as we share in the partnership with our friends in Iowa, and the importance of agribusiness to our community. Here's a look at some of our companies doing business here in the area. As we mentioned, Valmont and Lindsay from an irrigation standpoint. Also going to quickly touch on manufacturing and logistics. Here you can see the concentration. We are more concentrated for manufacturing and logistics, and a lot of this is within the food industry as well. And we have 2 foreign trade zones within Omaha and Lincoln to assist importers and encourage efficient international trade. Manufacturing and logistics, a lot of companies that are doing business here in our region. Trucking distance from Greater Omaha. We show this so we can show how easy it is to move across the country. Almost everything can move across the country in a 2-day trucking time. Excluding, as you can see on the edges, you would need a 3rd day to get clear on the coast of California, on the West Coast, and then all the way up into the east too. MedTech, another one, we talked about this. Cindi also touched on this about the University of Nebraska medicine and what they are doing in the medical world. We have the biocontainment unit, as Cindi had mentioned, but also what they're doing to foster entrepreneurship and medical technology out of the university medical system. So we work a lot with UNIMED, which is their the university's division that works with being able to commercialize some of those products. Financial technology. We have the finance and insurance industry contributes almost $13 billion to Greater Omaha's GDP. And this is a large part. They took a big piece of that pie on our diversity mix, and we have more than 30%, 37% higher than the national average in payment processing and compliance alone. We are business friendly and well connected from an infrastructure standpoint, as well as the connection to other countries and states. We are home to Offutt Air Force Base and the multiple commands. Specifically within that, I want to call out the U.S. Strategic Command is located here just south of Omaha in Bellevue, Nebraska, one of our suburbs. We are also home to the 55th Wing and the 557th Weather Wing, managing all weather and Strategic Command from the Omaha area. These are other missions that are housed at Offutt: Space Operations, Global Strike, Missile Defense. We, again, are very fiber heavy in our area, and this is a huge thanks to work a long, long time ago from Offutt, the military, and the Strategic Command. So some of their work with fiber in the early years has paved great way for why you see such growth in the financial and technology fields within Omaha. We have many great people working in this area with 1.4 million people within a 60-minute drive and a very productive labor force. Our talent, you can see comparison of Omaha to the U.S. national average. We have a higher graduate level from high school as well as bachelor's degree from college. Cindi kind of mentioned, as we already kind of talked about the University of Nebraska system, but they are not our only large university, with our friends at Creighton University as well. We have 2 major medical schools within Creighton University and the University of Nebraska. So we are producing a lot of very talented people in the health science industry. I'm going to pause on this. This is our riverfront park. We absolutely love this amazing park. It's actually 72 acres, 3 parks, 1 name. I stop on this because without this park was built on public-private partnership. This is probably, I would say, the most unique and greatest thing about the Omaha region is our ability to work and combine the public and private sector together to be able to get things done. This park alone is just one example, but this threads through education to community, anything. Our companies and our people are willing to always work together for the betterment of our community. We have some great attractions here too. If you ever make it to Omaha, we'd love for you to see the #1 zoo in the country. We are also home, if you're a baseball fan and ever do watch college baseball, we are home to the NCAA College World Series. We like to say that we have something for everyone and some amazing entertainment districts and communities that have built up organically through our city that gives you a little taste of everything you can ever imagine in one community. So that is Omaha. I went fairly quickly just because I wanted to be mindful of everybody's time, but thank you so much. And if you have questions, always please. And if you're looking to do business in Omaha and how I can help you, please always reach out. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindi and Angie. And with both of your permissions, I'm sure that if we would like to share your email with the group.
Absolutely.
For any follow-up questions. So we'll get those to Alberta through that. So there's a few questions in the chat that I would ask maybe Cindi and Angie to look at. But I guess we had one person who was going to jump up and speak next, Ken. I mean, a delegation.
I think Alberta. I will turn it over to Alberta if she's available to speak, and she has someone that has joined that would like to say a few words.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Colby. So I think we have on the line Mr. Eric Hudson. He's the Agricultural Director from the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. So Mr. Hudson, if you are on, maybe you could take the floor and then share some few insights on Ghana's agribusiness sector with us as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Albie, and the earlier speakers. I want to present a scenario on the Ghana front, narrowing down on agriculture as a catalyst for Ghana's trade growth and the role of the international collaboration. Basically, in Ghana, it's largely agrarian and it's rain-fed as well. Agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, contributing significantly about 20 to 25% to GDP, offering us a lot of employment, about 60% of the workforce, and guaranteeing us food security. Largely, we have a very youthful population, about 57% of the total population, and between the ages of 15 and 35. And we have women that are also involved in the agricultural labor force, about 39%. If we should analyze critically, average farm holdings is about 1 hectare. And 80% of Ghana's total agricultural output comes from these smallholder farmers. But we are a little bit challenged. And I like the way Cindi and Angie elaborated on very good schemes and organizations and institutions that are well formidable and could lend us by supporting the way we also do business in Ghana. We are confronted largely with under-mechanization. We don't have the machines. The machines, if they exist, are very limited in scope and can offer very limited services to our huge number of farmers. Don't forget I said 60% of our workforce are into agriculture, and it is largely rain-fed. Unlike in Nebraska, that is a home of technology. We would want to share your expertise with us largely so that it can bring up the general output from Ghana. What it stands to reason is that if about 30 to 35% of our population are into the use of mechanization, it stands to reason that 65 to 70 are still using the rudimentary labor force in agriculture. And this narrative needs to change with this kind of collaboration that we found at your holding. Some of the challenges: limited access. I saw fintech well established in Omaha, but in Ghana, the story is a little bit different. We would want to know how you made it through with finances. We have limited access to finance and credit, inadequate infrastructure, poor roads network. I saw the array of road networks using all planes to shuttle in between counties and all that. The presence of irrigation facilities and all that. We want to share your experience with us. We have a very low mechanization, like I said earlier, drive, and we are seriously buffeted by climate change. Last year, rainy season, and we are experiencing droughts, always dry spells all over. But thankfully, we have network of river bodies, the Volta Lake, the Black Volta, the White Volta, and Cobra, and other rivers that are scattered throughout the country. I saw my president using the Nebraska technology of the center pivot system in his farm. And we will be much more than happy that commercial entities within Ghana also adopt same, because without it, our food security is very much threatened. We will need your irrigation expertise. In Ghana, we also battling with price fluctuations because of absence of well-regulated markets. And thankfully, Nebraska should be able to share some of your experiences with us. How do we grow our cattle industry? How do we grow our small ruminants? How do we grow our poultry sector? In my region alone, 115 farm holdings, so far as poultry is concerned. But at the end of the day, lack of infrastructure for processing meat. We also have a lot of farmers into cattle rearing, into piggery, and these needs to be processed and made available for the general populace. And then again, when it's in excess for exports, we will need this kind of expertise to go along with, knowing that our senior brothers are well grounded in some of these technologies. Land preparation is a key problem in our area. 30 to 40% mechanized. You can imagine, the rest is manual. Planting and fertilizer application, just 25%. The rest is manual. Look, if we are racing against time, if you are racing against the weather, vagaries of the weather, then it starts to reason that we need to plant quick. We need to fertilize quickly. We need to irrigate. Let's supplement crop water requirements as and when needed. We need to also take control of the weeds and pest control on our farms. And these are highly under-mechanized. We would want to share your experience with us. Not that alone, but looking at the kind of expertise Nebraska has, we think that we need to really collaborate. That is the essence of this partnership. When you have a senior brother and a junior brother is in need, in the scale of small holding, if we could be supported with these multi-purpose power tillers and precision seeders, how fast can we seed? How fast can we till our land? How fast can we weed? How well can we irrigate? Crop water requirement is key to high yields within our area. And how well can you also share your expertise? I understand you always try to work with cooperatives. And this idea of cooperatives needs also to sink well into the Ghanaian context. And I think with all this, if we could rely on the expertise of Nebraska. I think we could be doing much more, helping us to reset what we intend doing as a nation. Don't forget, we just came out of election, and our president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has promised to reset Ghana. Resetting Ghana on the agribusiness or agricultural front will call for precision agriculture, where we are also guided with the help of satellites to take out guidance systems on GPS fronts, the use of drones, electronic tagging of our livestock, and all that. We also understand that you have a lot of agri-tech enterprises, over 1,300 and over, and you are also fostering robust environmental innovations so far as farming practices are concerned. This we will need seriously. I talked about the center pivot irrigation. Nebraska is pioneer all over the world over that you engineered and pioneered this irrigation system. There are some few within Ghana, of which I said earlier that our president has one in his own farm, but it needs to be upscaled. We need more of these to be connected to river bodies to make irrigation easier on our commercial farms. We've heard of your universities that are also collaborating with us on agricultural systems technology, combining coursework and in technology, agricultural sciences, and business to prepare students for modern agricultural challenges. Like Angie said, I see a high number of graduates in agriculture. On the other hand, in our case, the youth are now entering, and largely not so educated people into agriculture yet, although the youth are now being trained to come out to also augment. And you can understand the position of the youth. They also want to dive into technology. For instance, to sit by their computers and just manage drones on their farms. That will actually bring the interest in agriculture. We have so much commodities to share with Nebraska, and we need technology to manage our farms, like the use of drones. I hear you are using drones to pick fruits. You are using drones to spread seeds, using drones to fertilize, using drones to monitor agricultural operations on your farm. These are the things we also want to see. These are the things we want to see. Using drones for data collection and all that. We also want to share in your experience, because we know that there are. And with all these things that we've seen and we are enumerating, also lies in the aspect of technology transfer. You are the pioneers, and we want to share your experiences with us, especially with our research institution and with our some of our commercial farms.
Okay.
The issue about market access, if you could also delve deeper and give us some professional treatments. We know of Agua, but the commodity scope is a little bit limited. Looking at the array of products that we have, mango, cashew, cocoa, name it, maize, rice, everything. And I know you are a home of global supply of soybean, but in Ghana, our soybean is strategic. It's just pure organic. And I know most of your health conscious Americans will love it to use the soybean from Ghana, because it's really organic and no chemical additives, no chemical inputs are allowed in the production system. We also have a very strong institutions that are also regulating the supply of same, like the Ghana Standards Authority and the Food and Drugs Authority, that are also providing and supporting so far as regulatory compliance is concerned. And we are so much happy with at least the little that we've seen. And we think that foreign direct investment into some of the agribusinesses in Ghana will actually boost up trade among the two nations. Well, using Nebraska as a springboard, we know that if the relationship works so well, if you help us establish our value chains, if you help us reduce post-harvest losses, Nebraska will be a beneficiary of some of the exotic crops that Ghana is able to produce. Like I told you earlier, So we are looking forward for that great collaboration and partnership.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.
Thank you, sir. And I think that what your thoughts really put forward is just all of the needs and all of the things that Ghana, what I like to call the opportunities that are there. And they're vast, they're great. And what I've tried to get everyone to understand is that when you take on something like this, where you have to start more or less at a foundation, there's two things about it. One thing is you have to take each bite slowly because you can overwhelm yourself really quickly. And the second thing is that you just need to keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. But everything that you've talked about are things that we have accomplished to a certain degree here in the state of Nebraska. And I think that I think that there's an opportunity for collaboration there. And as we get further down the road, we can work that out to see exactly what that looks like. But Colby, I'd like to turn it back over to you for just
sure. Well, I think that was kind of a long. I hope Cindi and Angie, if you're able to get some of this, I wanted to make sure that we left some time for Cindi or Angie to answer any questions or provide any clarification. I know that they've been kind of doing that in the chat. Cindi, let me go back to you. Is there, based on what you heard from Eric and Ken, do you see an opportunity to kind of move forward with some partnerships and your office being involved? How does that play out from your perspective?
Well, I've got a grant request in to USDA for Togo, and we had planned on maybe a trade mission to Togo in the fall, and then also going into Ghana, because I think you have to fly into Ghana anyway to get to Togo.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to stop over in Ghana anyway, but and as I mentioned, our delegations are very ag focused because we are an ag state. But we bring in other areas too that are needed. There's a couple of things that I wrote down. In Ethiopia, it was a challenge between the farmer and the price. There wasn't any set price, so you didn't know how to plan for your crops for the next year, what kind of price you were going to get. There's a middleman that kind of made the money. So we started Ethiopia started a market, stock trade market, and added the agriculture commodities to the Board of Trade, so that the price would be established by the Board of Trade, so the farmer knew what they were going to be paid, and that was a big economic boom in that area, because then you know what to plant. I like the idea of specialty crops in Ghana because I think there's a market for that here in the U.S. Ghana is part of AGOA, so there's a lot of products that can be imported into the U.S. Tariff-free. So that's a big advantage. And also in the WTO, Ghana has an advantage as a developing country. So you have most favored nation status, for your imports. So these are all positive things that Ghana has to offer as far as exporting into the U.S. But also we met Dr. Monga, who's sort of the Warren Buffett of Kenya, and he wanted to expand into West Africa. He is the owner of Equitable Bank, and he would like to expand, and he has really become successful through small farmholder loans, and he's also started buying macadamia nuts from some of the small farmers. Maybe they have 2 trees and they come in with their bag and he buys them and then he sells them and exports them. And I think he might be coming I know he's coming into Congo, and he might be coming into Ghana as well. So that kind of answers, how farmers can get paid, and if you're not getting paid, you're not going to be able to upscale at all with machinery or irrigation or anything else. The drought factor has to be addressed. We brought in Corteva and Bayer, who have a drought-resistant seed to offer. This is a challenge in Africa, because I know that in Africa they like to replant the seeds, which reduces their yield. But the BT seed has factors in it that is armyworm resistant and drought resistant, which would be great for the Ghana market, for the producer in Ghana. We can bring trade mission, a reverse trade mission, back here to Nebraska and show them some of our research and our practices, as I mentioned, in animal husbandry, livestock production, feed yard, and crop production. So, we can partnership in a lot. I had an idea. I think you should work on having your consulate is in New York and your embassy is in DC. It'd be really nice if you had one in the Midwest, and it'd be even better if you had one in Omaha, which Angie gave a great presentation of Omaha, and you can get here from anywhere. And I think that would be very good as far as visas. I think visas are a big challenge as well.
Mhm.
I did notice, there's a lot of folks putting in the chat they'd like to connect on different things related to, feed formulas and irrigation and crop farming. I think for the group's understanding, this webinar is being recorded, so Ken can go back and look at these comments, right, Ken, and connect the individuals with some of those connections. Would that be fair to say, Ken?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, at AgriHouse, they're actually keeping track of all the questions so that we can get those answers as we move forward. They've also recorded this, so that if there's anybody in the future that wants to see it, we'll be able to have that. I guess what I would like to say in closing, for me anyway, is that I think it would be in everyone's interest, Cindi, to maybe work together on that trade mission that you're talking about. We can connect you to all of the anybody that you need to meet with over there. We've got those connections. We'd be happy to do that and help with the business to business meetings and everything like that. So if that's possible, we'd love to be a part of that. And you just let us know what we need to do, and we'll be right there.
And Ken and I have been to Ghana before, and we'd join you if there's room on the plane.
It's always room on the plane.
There you go.
We'd be happy to join you, but I think as a next step, I think Ken, you and Alberta might meet with Cindi about some of these thoughts about a consulate or an additional trade mission. I think there's probably some work that we can do on our side to put something together. Would that be fair to say, Ken?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Cindi, if you're interested in working on that, we'd be, once again, just happy to have your help.
Yeah, absolutely. We're waiting for the grant to be approved. This might be a bad time for that with our present administration, but the Secretary of State is in Washington, D.C. right now. He has an appointment with FAS Monday, and we'll find out about some of those grant applications next week.
Yeah. Cindi and Angie, maybe if you're willing, if you wouldn't mind maybe putting your email in the chat, that way,
sure, if
folks had a question, they could. I'm seeing, I'm watching the chat. Sorry, Emmanuel wants to sell some things, and I think Angie would be interested in that. But I think that would be helpful. And then, of course, Alberta is the boots on the ground, right, within the country. So, Alberta, do you have any final comments on next steps from your perspective that you'd like to share?
Yes, I think maybe we are putting all the reports together, so maybe Angie and Cindi can can put all their contacts in the report and share with everyone, so that we're able to also streamline it very well and then share with the people who really need it. So we'll put all the reports together, but I think in the whole it's been very, very successful. The challenge is that we couldn't get everybody on board. We sincerely have over 200 stakeholders who've been waiting, but somehow the system was crashing somehow. So we had to find a way to limit and control it. So I think that it will be very good, Senator Colby, if maybe Senator Schilz, if we can look at how we can do this again so that the others could really benefit. We have been able to share this. So this one is streaming live on Facebook, and then we would also put the recorded version also on the chamber website as well, and then on the YouTube. So for those who are on Facebook and are watching, we apologize sincerely. We would ensure that we have a bigger space to accommodate everyone in the future. I think it's been very good. It's exactly what we needed. We have very key people all over from other African countries on the platform who are interested to see how we can also, with using the chamber as a model to strengthen agribusiness in their regions and in their areas. We have Nigeria on, as indicated earlier. We have Rwanda, we have Uganda, Kenya and Zambia couldn't, I think, join. But I think in a nutshell, it's been very productive, exactly how we wanted it to go. And maybe some of all these questions, the key is how do we follow up to ensure that we're able to address some of these issues, bringing Ghana and Nebraska together. So that is, for me, the next step. What actions can we take out of this webinar, and to ensure that these are the issues that came up. This is what we've been able to do. It adds up to the impacts and success stories from all over. So I think from here, we are looking forward to what actions we can take. And we are remaining confident that this webinar will just be the beginning of many other webinars. If we can do it quarterly and focus on other areas, maybe this month we'll focus on education, another month we'll focus on irrigation, another will focus on cattle. I think we will be able to group the various stakeholders together, because this one is a general one, so broad perspective from all over. But maybe in the future we can, it would be great if we can have you all together again and then tailor it to suit the industries, and then have the right audience for the right webinar, and then address the issues to strengthen the relationship between Ghana and Nebraska. So thank you so much. We are grateful.
Yep. And Albert, I'd be more than happy to pick that mantle up and be the coordinator over here to help you on one side, and then to get with whoever we need to over here. So thank you for that.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Senator Schilz. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I want Ken, is there anything else? I think
I just want to say
mission for today.
Yep, I just want to say thank you, Colby, for all your work in getting this set up, and also to Cindi and Angie for taking the time. And I hope this is the beginning of a strong relationship and some really cool things moving forward. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
So good to see you, and thanks for everyone who's participating. I kind of want to collect all these addresses, and it's such a pleasure. I'm really excited about this webinar. There's a lot of connections.
Yeah, and Cindi, I will we'll make sure and get all those addresses and all the questions and forward them to everyone.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks everyone.
Okay.
Hello, Cindi.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello, yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Hello. I'm in Colorado now, a bit close to Nebraska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'll be leaving to Ghana end of this month. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what
Bye.
you call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we leave?
Thanks everyone.
Alberta.
And thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, Cindy.
Alberta, thank you.
Thank you.
So we can chat on the platform. We can chat on the platform. Thank you
All
so
right.
much, everyone.
No problem. Thank you too.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.